Greek journalists forced a news blackout across the country today when they walked out for a planned 24-hour strike. It comes one day before a nationwide strike to protest against ongoing austerity measures. Israel Mehdi has more.
It's a news blackout today in Greece. From 6 a.m. today until 6 a.m. tomorrow, Greek mass media will walk out, pulling all newscasts off air in protest against the country's crippling austerity measures. Bulletins will not be broadcasted by any radio and television stations, and neither will current affairs websites be updated. Journalist unions are protesting against redundancy, cuts to pensions and benefits, as hundreds of journalists in the private sector have gone unpaid for months. Today's strike comes one day ahead of a nationwide strike by workers in the state and private sectors, expected to disrupt many of the country's public services. Schools will remain shut, hospitals will only handle emergencies, and ferries and flights will not operate. For its part, Athens Journalist Union called for the walkout to be extended till tomorrow morning for 3 hours, ending with a protest rally outside the union's building in Athens. They initiated the stoppages a day early so that reporters can cover the general strike the next day. The main aim of this week's strikes is to highlight concerns over austerity measures that will be passed in the 2015 draft budget. Greece wants to exit the EU-IMF bailout by the end of the year, a year ahead of schedule, but needs to wrap up the current bailout review first. And now many are worried that the money for that will come out of the pockets of Greeks, already suffering from limited household incomes. But the government claims these measures are necessary for the country to come out of debts. Greek finance minister was in Paris yesterday to resume talks with the EU-IMF lenders, saying that progress was made towards breaking a deadlock. And he added that this all depends on keeping current policies in order for Greek economy to grow.
No, the issues are diverse. The point is for the Greek economy to continue growing with fiscal consolidation and with all the structural reforms.
The talks in Paris are expected to end tomorrow, and officials have suggested that inspectors will return to Athens to seal a final deal, if there is progress. Despite the outcome of these talks between government and EU officials, organizers of nationwide strikes in Greece today and tomorrow will carry on fighting austerity measures.
Political analyst Robert Oulds now joins us live on Skype to discuss the ongoing crippling austerity measures there in Greece. Dr. Robert Oulds, thank you very much for joining us firstly. Now, can Greece afford to cut a year off its bailout measures when the country is already suffering due to the crippling austerity?
No, I don't think it can afford it. Austerity has been enormously damaging for Greece. It was not meant to turn out this way, but it has created massive unemployment because austerity can never work unless, of course, there's monetary easing and a devaluation of the currency, neither of which are possible when they're in the euro, the EU single currency, which is at a rate which is uncompetitive for the Greek economy. So we had an internal devaluation known as austerity, which has created massive unemployment and enormous hardships. It's actually damaged the Greek economy, and there's actually been a process that Greece has been going through recently called deflation, where prices have been falling, and that's actually made things worse because it means that people are delaying making purchases, and it's been holding back economic growth. At the moment there has been some increase in economic growth, but they're starting from a very low base because the Greek economy has largely been trashed by the euro and the EU's enforced austerity measures, and the European Central Bank and the IMF now effectively owning assets within Greece. Greece has pretty much been taken over by the European Central Bank, the EU and the IMF, and the damage that has been done is actually enormous.
Now, what I want to understand, Mr. Oulds, is the attempting to bail out a country a year ahead of schedule to appease the nation, at the same time enforcing crippling austerity. Now, how do they expect to scrape through a presidential vote in February?
Well, a lot of the political class in Greece is very much wedded to the idea of the European project and pretty much obeying everything that they're told to do by the European Union and its German leadership. They're very keen on following that, rather than, of course, looking out for the Greek national interests. This has actually created serious divisions within Greece and the emergence of new radical parties who object to the austerity. And, of course, there's also been many strikes. This will lead to more political turmoil. This is about there's been more than 30 national strikes within Greece since this austerity measures got underway many years ago, and they're still feeling the pain. And there's actually very little hope for the future. Despite there being some economic growth, Greece is in a very bad position. There's still a great deal of poverty. And if more cuts will lead to more economic problems, it will lead to more poverty. We had pensions being cut, education being cut. People are doing very badly in Greece. There's a whole host of economic problems, and more austerity measures are not actually the answer. They're actually the problem.
Now, we understand that the EU has warned Greece that if they don't have a payback plan, it will miss its targets and suffer shortfalls. Now, how much will Greece's decision to ignore the EU's objections affect them?
Well, they do find themselves being pushed around. They're being very badly bullied. Greece is not a self-governing country. It's dictated to by the European Union, who really control a lot of their budget policies, the European Central Bank and the IMF. They're effectively controlled by unaccountable institutions, some at the European level, some actually at the global level. And this is creating a great deal of political problems within Greece, and they will find themselves punished by the European Court of Justice. It has the right to impose fines on Greece if they do not follow the budget plans. That is absolutely appalling, because that's one thing that the Greek people cannot actually afford, is to pay fines for actually wrong-headed policies. The austerity has actually made the debt burden in Greece worse.
We're just going to have to leave it there. Political analyst Robert Ould's, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.